Paris, do you think there is this kind of liberal chess splitting?
Yeah, I'm not sure I'm quite agree with your assessment of it. I think that lots of younger people are really actually quite worried and thinking like, have we been here before? Uh, I've been asking a lot of my older friends, like this stability that we enjoy at the moment, is that just a recent thing, because things have been unstable in past. And what I'm hearing is that people do feel like it's something really new, and it's not business as usual. It's not politics as usual. And I think there's lots of fear and a lot of uncertainty. And I think to second guess somebody's motives, I have that he's wrong. I think he.
What stability? What stability do we have at the moment? We live in possibly one of the most troubled times that I can ever remember. And you talk about stability and trying to maintain that. We don't have stability at the moment.
What have you and your party have done to improve stability in this country and around the world? Give me one concrete example.
Well, actually leaving the European Union,
Think breaking up with the European Union is increasing stability?
it's one of the main things that we do to actually try and secure our country, because we are the European Union where do we start?
Let's talk about. I think we should talk. I just want to carry on.
Why so much support and so proud rather than Remnik?
Yeah, let's just talk about Trump and Remnick just now.
If I could, but he conceded Trump having seat elected, that there are serious group of unrepresented people with genuine grievance. He spoke to the British, not in the American side, quite correctly. When did you hear David Remnick or any of the people like him at all concerned about those people before the emergence of Donald Trump for decades?
Well, that's just.
This has been waiting to happen. They paid no attention to it at all until recently people.
It's not a fair point, David. And you were saying we're looking for the parachute. We're desperately looking for the parachute. The point was we can go. We can revisit the campaign. But we know that Hillary Clinton doesn't pay enough attention to the Rust Belt. We didn't. We know she didn't do all that. It just came upon them as if they didn't think it was coming.
I think Peter got point. I think it's not enough to get the point. The people the people are suffering. The people are discontents of globalization. I think it's about doing something about it. I think we have to remember Harry. We lost the election as well as Donald Trump win the election, and the failures of the contents of politics, remember the Republican Party as well. In some way, Donald Trump has won the presidency. The Republican Party has won their presidency. They did most everything they could to try and stop him from winning, but they did win cause.
When do you think all this started? We're looking about 2008. You know Obama's elective Labour government here. Medvedev is the new president of Russia. When did all this start? When did this development this?
Well, I think it was so when I was living in the US in the early 1990s. It was already well underway, and one of the major features of it was something which is now mirrored in Europe in a strange way, which is the huge amount of the immigration, much of it illegal, coming across the Mexican border, which is something which Trump sort of addresses, though, and it seems to me a very belated and not very intelligent way, but that changed the United States hugely, and the American Republican moving in and conservative journalism particularly were arriving during that period over what to do about it, and he decorates Democrats had I have seen nothing to say about aspect that it was fine.
But it has got much more to do with the job going to immigrant comings.
Well, that is highly uncommitted.
Let's go back. It's also to do with NAFTA, apart from anything else but Paris leaks. It's just on the question of what the trajectory has been in terms of tolerance. You know from the 60s onwards, this was always going to be. With the new laws, with in America, homosexuality wasn't illegal. We had birth control here, with lots of different things happening here. And there was a tolerance. We feel that tolerance, again, has been a kind of blip, and we're becoming intolerant towards difference again.
A little bit of 2 points that I've made. Firstly, I think a lot of this connected to social media and people just getting their voices heard more. Sometimes there's things that we will want here and we didn't have voice before getting voice. Sometimes these people spreading hateful rhetoric, and I really surprised me when I first started seeing comments in the YouTube videos and seeing words that I've not heard in public for years. Really racist turn thinking. God, this is still out there. It's really annoys me. This characterization of it is a kind of response, political correctness gone, and when actually in what we are seeing is just traditional sexism, racism, and xenophobia recalibrating itself.
But if you're hurrying and seeing that, what is giving its license?
Well, can I just say, I think it is cynical politician from your party exploring people's private prejudices and think you raise a really good point about working class people and the left not being interested in them or the right wasn't interested in them. I'm from one of those towns that vote for Burnett, one of those forgotten communities, and I think it's really interesting. Nobody's interested in speaking to everyone's talks about housing or schools or jobs and all the rest of it. But suddenly, when people have got racist concerns, everybody wants to listen to me, and really important to hear what we want to see.
Let's just come back on that.
This is precisely the problem, Paris.
Which you think it's funny, which the rise in racism, with the rise in hate crimes when the problem is visible, so you think it's laughable?
Can I speak? This is the problem that people like you have for years actually said. We don't want to talk about this issue. We don't want to talk about immigration, and you refuse to let people talk about.
Hang on.
Excuse me, I presented to documentary for radio 2 years ago, in which we explore people's prejudice and I went to meet a woman who wore a hijab because there was one of my prejudices. Something that I really personally in my head. We all have stupid private prejudice in our head.
If I can just make it simple, point for a very, very long time, people who held perfectly reasoned views on all kinds of subjects from marriage to immigration, what she characterized is having something wrong with them.
From both the right and the left.
Like their phobia, well, I was a particularly left-wing tactic if you held it just that in that view, about for instance that I mentioned its simplest, the level of immigration in this country, there were people who felt absolutely no compunction in sneering you as racist, and this happened all this time, and there was a complete unwillingness to debate rationally was.
David, do you?
You can't say that there's something wrong with this with this response.
This is the task explains for the reason we don't talk about problem from globalization because was instantly cashed onto social cultural issue. We are talking a moment ago about the town in the north of England and the Rust Belt. Their economy decline, the plan of job, and now we are talking about social issue. This is the right and the left failing to talk about how example those things.
I think it's certainly interesting that
Let's talk about economy of it. Let's talk about the Reserve Belt. Mexico immigrant has caused the direction to this.
So, if you're either presumably either to take a position for looking ahead to 2017, that this year has been a disaster and there needs to be a fight, or this has actually been a great year and how do we consolidate it? Let's go with the former, that it's been a disaster and there should be a fight back, which may be your position. But what do you think will happen? What has to happen next year for you to feel better?
I think in 2019, I think we look at those years, these years where you and lot of focus for and instruction of what you think about Breeze and Trump. A lot of expression, positive and or negative, have been raised. Focus on futures have been unless I don't know if Donald Trump has planned for what happened when people discover he can't do all the things he say on the camping training. I don't know what the plan is about, what the plan is for, when apa when we don't perhaps get the deal that we confidently say that we could. We are already dealing with disappointment, but there has not 315 million pound for the SHS.
I agree completely with that. The expectations have been raised by largely irresponsible and marginal people who came to prominence because proper responsible politicians refused to deal with it.
And what will this be? It was a marginal as far as we are concerned.
I have always regarded you keepers as a dead army marginal party, and I don't think that it ever had any serious possibility of reaching power that made it subject to Kinsiger. And other struggles are always most vicious, where to stake are so small, and that's where it finds itself. But the Conservative Party was the thing which needed to be got really, I think.
Susan, if you think it's been a great year, then how does it can talk, consolidate of what David is saying is right? So then so maybe we'll be disappointed with the nature of actually how Brexit will play out and the nature of how the Donald Trump will be in the White House.
Well, I think again, you're making huge jumping to huge conclusions here that we're not going to get a good deal. And I absolutely see that we hold all the cards in this country. We have the biggest trade deficit with the European Union. They need us far more than we need them. There is every opportunity to get a good deal out there.
This should be the first time in history where no one was disappointed of what was said in the campaign trail. This will be the first time in history.
And to go back to my picture right in the beginning, just if we can reinvigorate our fishing industry by getting control, we talk about it in relation to your photograph as well and how the EU has fishing rights.
Okay, Paris. If you think Paris, what do you need to have for the next year?
How will it get better? I'm pretty pessimistic at the moment, to be honest, and I think that there's a lot of provocation going on, and it's very interesting how that. Can we just have a debate about immigration turn into Polish center being vandalized, rise in hate crimes, and I think a lot of people from marginalized background are really worried about it. It's not going to be affect you. Nobody going to come at you in the street and abuse you because the color of your skin.
But it's not going to affect you. People are going to abuse me because I'm doing in this program, Paris.
This political persuasion, the point is nobody's going to attack you based on the color of your skin or this is all just academic debates, but I think a lot of people are very worried. People will be organizing, and I think that we will see some really interesting activity next year.
Okay, very, very quickly, One good thing about 2016 for me, Andy Murray being declared #1 in the world in tennis. One good thing for 2016.
Actually, I really loved that moment it was.
Wait, for you, Peter, was something brilliant this year?
I can't think of any good things apart from the opportunity to glow at the discomfiture of my foes. Apart from that, no.
Anything good, Paris?
Janelle is a clown. I mean, what is going on?
David?
The Olympics?
The Olympics.